put it together, they merge one, right? If I
Oh,
come
god
together with a
dang.
woman, don't I go into that woman? Don't me
All
and that
right.
woman go into each other? Now we one. I got my dick, I am one. At the end of the day, what you
So you
mean?
got to
One plus
watch
one
on your
equals
left
two.
hand. You got to watch on your left hand. If you
Right.
put another watch on your left hand, will you have one watches or two watch?
They're on the same hand. It's just one watch if they put together. If you leave, they merge together. You see what I'm
Uh,
talking about? You want me to
if
have
you
two.
put the watch
Right.
on a different hand, would you have two
Right.
watches on you?
A lot of where parenting comes in, because if you are involved and an involved parent, you are basically instilling certain values and character and the way that you live, being an example. You're going to influence your children. Hopefully, if you are that parent that's like hands-on and all of those things, that you will have a greater influence on your children than the social media. I think what happens a lot of times is that parents are allowing social media to raise their children as opposed to them raising their children. So when they're in the world and they see this, it's normalized. Versus if this isn't something that you're in alignment with, that when they come across it, hopefully they will have enough sense and ability to like align it with, well, this isn't what I was taught, and at least question it as opposed to just following. Like being in high school, I just see so many kids that just follow what everybody does, and they just don't have the ability to critically think, to know how to self-question, like just any of those things. So you show them something like anything on Snapchat or IG, they believe it without question, just because of them spending as many hours in these spaces. It just becomes their reality. So it starts with the parent. Like my children, they didn't even get a cell phone until they hit ninth grade, till they was 14. And then that was monitored. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's where it starts. It has to start at home.
The
That
parents are
makes
being
sense, but there's
raised
a
by
lot of people
YouTube too.
there because these are like grown women who are watching these dudes.
Yeah,
Like,
and
yeah,
they have children.
it's not the kids that are watching them.
They
I
weren't
mean, I know
parented.
we'd have to start there, but a lot of YouTube came out when most of us was already grown, and we just now introduced it. Is they already outside of their parents' household? They're in their 30s, they're in their 40s, and they're looking for
Yeah,
answers. They're like, damn, how am I going to go ahead and get this man? And a dude beating him in the head with that sweet stuff like that, or they're going to think they doing just fine, just the way they are, and it's the men that's all messed up, and they're going to go ahead and follow that and get the results, like Darwin was talking about.
I agree with Miss Taken though. Although these women are grown ass women, they still weren't parented in some capacity. There was still something missing in their foundational upbringing. Because if you could go to social media and follow a man that you don't even know, who is probably the same age as you, maybe younger, he could be younger than some of these women that follow him. If you can do that and say, oh, what he's saying is correct, and you don't do any fact check, you don't do any questioning, you don't do any self-reflective work to even, match what he's saying or test what he's saying, something is wrong. You miss something in your upbringing. You miss some type of developmental growth in your upbringing. And now at 30 something, you're following some dude on YouTube who says women is God. I, I, I don't even, I mean, I want to say that people can change and that there is hope. But when you start doing stuff like that, it really shows where your mental state is. If someone on YouTube can influence you that easily to get into your mind, to make you feel as though that you're God and people should worship you, or people should look at you as someone that is inferior to others. You don't compare. You don't say that a person is God. We're made in his image. We should be like him, but we're not him. We never will be, never can live up to that. So I think that there are huge developmental gaps in these women's foundations that show tremendously when you want to follow somebody on YouTube and take what he say is Bible. I think it's crazy. I think that the people that are on YouTube or just social media in general, it's a mental programming. Because something is missing, they're filling it with scrolling, they're filling it with liking, they're doing all of that. And that is filling whatever void that they have, not realizing it's really damaging, your nervous system, honestly, because you're impulsive. So they definitely need help. They need to go see a counselor, a therapist, Jesus, somebody, because he's not giving good theory to what they should be practicing.
I'm gonna pray that most of his audience is made up of women who may have been hurt instead of young girls that grew up without the right upbringing. Because then I can kind of like feel okay, you know what I'm saying? I won't be as much concerned. I'm like, okay, you got women that have been hurt by a man, scarred by a man. I think Princella is one of the women who's turning women against men because of her pain and projection. And I mean, if it's that, then I can understand like the hatred for men and want to just say, fuck it, I'm gonna believe whatever it is that's gonna empower me and just make men seem like they're below me to deal with my pain. So
what's crazy about her is that she bashes men, but she goes around and dresses like them. It's like, and I know Casey wants to say something, but I think even in that situation, I think that there are still people that have that lifestyle. They have the two parents, they have everything laid out for them, but due to them having everything, they still make the decision willingly and knowingly to become rebellious, to go against the grain of what it is that they were taught. I think that we take away the power that people have of making their own choices and following something that they know that they can actually, they question, and then they allow for it to continue to sink into their brain to where it makes sense to them. The whole time that they know this is completely against everything that they were ever taught and raised under. So I agree with what you're saying, but I think that a lot of people still willingly make that choice to essentially be rebellious to what it is that they were taught and go and make these decisions and follow these type of people.
I agree. Just that late in life is just so damaging. To be rebellious, you know what I mean? Being rebellious in your 30s and early 40s is just, to me, counterproductive. It's like, you want to choose now to be rebellious? Like, what happened in your life that now you're choosing a different path or a different ideology or belief? What is it going to do for you in your life and in your current state, but put you in a state of delusion?
A man cannot sustain life. He does not have breast milk.
Got you. You done or are you still going?
No, go ahead, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm respectful. So if you want to go and respond, you can go.
Okay. So, I mean, everything you said was just nonsense. It didn't make any sense. It didn't correlate to anything.
Which part? Which
1
part?
plus 1 didn't add up. You didn't have any rebuttal to it. You just started speaking nonsense. But let me ask you a question.
I have to force myself to speak because you won't allow me to.
Does 1
You're
plus
asking
1
me
equal
another
2?
question.
Does 1 plus 1 equal 2?
No, one and one come together. They merge. That's 1, right? Think about it, right?
God dang.
When
so
1 and 1 come together, they
my
merge.
point.
Right?
The nigga don't know what 1 plus 1 equals.
Merge, right?
He said that 1 and 1 merges.
Put it together, they merge. 1, right?
Oh,
if I come together with a woman, don't I go into that woman? Don't me and that woman go into each other? Now we 1. I got my dick. I am 1. At the end of the day, what you mean?
So you gotta
1 plus
watch
1
on your
equals
left
2.
hand. You gotta watch on your left hand. If you put another watch on your left hand, will you have 1 watches or 2 watch?
They're on the same hand. It's just 1 watch. If they put together, if you leave, they merge together. You see what I'm talking about? You want me to have 2?
If you put the watch on a different hand, would you have 2 watches on you?
I don't know. If you take a man wig off, then would you be bald headed? I don't know, bro. We all got questions that they ask. I mean, shit. I mean, what you want to do? I don't know, bro. Is we on this build? Are we on this build or what? What we gonna do, bro?
This is what we're going to do, because I'm actually curious. Because the last people I had on here, I had 4 other people that that had your same points of view, right? And now let's change up the dialogue a little bit, because I'm curious of knowing. I believe that you let me know if you don't believe that 1 + 1 = 2, but let me know if this makes sense to you, and see if we can come to agreement on something. That's what I want to get here. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. Influence creates thinking. Thinking creates behavior. Would you say that that's true?
Makes sense.
Okay, cool. I want to know this because I spoke with, you're the 5th person I had on the podcast now that believe that the black woman is God, right? So since we know that, and you just confirmed that influence creates thinking and thinking creates behavior, you have this, your mind frame of how you think. I want to know what influenced you to think this way.
It's knowing versus belief. Everybody believes in God. I know God. You see what I'm saying? Knowing is being able to have logic, evidence, and reason. You know it, just like your past experiences. I know my mother. So before I learned how to talk, before I learned how to walk, before I had taught about my ABCs, before I was taught about anything, my mother was there. Somebody had to teach me, influence me, get me to think about a God that they wanted me to think about. But prior to that, my mother was my creator. So when you look at it, my mother was a black woman, and all black women are the manifestation of Mother Nature. I don't give a fuck about a book in which you read, bro. Go to nature and look at it. That is the supreme map of things.
Clarence,
everything in nature is telling you.
Clarence, I seen that you
don't have to stop me, bro. You don't have to stop me.
No. Someone came in the chat. Clarence, I see you come in here. Give it 2 seconds. I'll add you in after I have this discussion with him.
I get 30 seconds to speak, like every single time.
It's a podcast, and I had someone trying to join the live stream.
You're intimidated, bro.
No, I had someone trying to join the live stream.
You don't want to know. You do this for content.
Intimidated?
At the end of you're intimidated. It's got to be.
Come
if
on,
I can sit there and listen to you and you can't listen to me.
I mean, listen,
you told us about a pregnant male rat. You told us the science brought about a pregnant male
in
rat.
person. You could come here in person. No one's intimidated, bro. No one's.
You gotta be.
No one feels like that.
Then
you could have this discussion in person. The same way I'm conveying myself with you over here, it'll be in person. And actually, it'll be more intense.
Listen, y'all.
We said that influence creates thinking. Thinking creates behavior. You think that the black woman is God. I want to know what influenced you.
Looking for God.
Okay. Explain, elaborate. What did you find that made you really think that the black woman is God?
My mother was in my face the whole time. She was in my face the whole time. And I didn't realize that was God. So they told me that my mother, everything was outside of me. They told me that everything else was my mother. Everything else is God but your mother. And then you look at why they oppress every woman in religion. Christianity, their God says it's okay to rape a woman, defile a woman. Islam, they say it's okay to be a woman. Allah is literally a lot. So they literally define everything in women. It's all about women oppression and for women not to realize that they are the true creators. That's why the patriarch took over. The patriarch literally took over the matriarch. The matriarch had always been in rulership. That's why they studied the goddess Hathor. They literally was with the queen of heaven in Jeremiah 44. They spoke about the goddess everywhere. Tuarat was the first deity that was ever worshipped. See, like I said, I get 30 seconds.
Oh, no, you explained it. Now I have another question for you.
See, I'm saying I wasn't done. That's what I'm saying. Let me know how long I'll get. I mean, you just stopped me. You're going to keep doing it, so go ahead.
I mean, you explained all the way down to how it went.
Bro. Go ahead, bro.
So, and also, I'll just give you the rules of the podcast.
As I'm listening to him, and I've been listening to everyone on the panel talk, not only is he pandering to just women in general, I think it's way deeper than that. He is selling speech to a group of people and an ideology that grown women, and the first thing that came to mind is my body, my choice when it comes to abortion rights, right? Those women who believe that are directly going to identify with his speech because they believe that a man has no choice, the father or society, man, But the father, they can make the decision on what they want to do without their partner or the person they made the baby with consent, right? It's their body, their choice. Single mothers, some, not all, in this YouTube space argue a lot about the point being that women can raise kids on their own. They don't need the father. Give me the check. I'm fine. I don't need your help. I don't want the back and forth. I don't want to have to
So
work.
get used to it. So guess what? This is called.
Sorry, that was an accident.
That's okay. I don't want to have to work with, I can do it by myself, right? So I feel that he's speaking directly to the women that have those two thought processes, two different situations, right? He basically is saying that the man has no say, that it's woman, man, woman, child, and man, right? God, woman, child, and man, or man not at all, because he said that a man is an inverted form of a woman, right? So if women are actually thinking that men have no place in society, like Darwin said, the woman who can't get a man, doesn't have a partner in life, all of this, he's speaking to those three groups of women. His audience is going to grow. Whether they truly understand all the nuances, the scientific crap that he's saying, it doesn't make any sense. He would not acknowledge all the biological information that Fugazi gave him. He completely said, oh, you sound stupid. Giving scientific, educational information, biological fact was stupid to him. So a woman that's going to just sweep all of that under the rug and only want to hear that the only voice you need to hear is female, that woman is going to identify with him. And his audience is going to grow. Taking it back to what Fugazi just said about influence, goes to thought process, ends up in behavior. That flow of evolution, he will have an influence, you guys, and it's very, very, very dangerous.
I seen something that kind of stood out multiple times after actually trying to understand the dude and figure out where he get his principles and ideology from. It seemed like he got talking points that's curated from multiple different people who follow different religions and stuff like that. I noticed he kept referencing Nation of Islam or whatever and all this other stuff. He couldn't really answer questions directly. And he would say, let me speak. I think he just want to go on a rant without being questioned, because being questioned actually exposes his ability to articulate what he actually believes. Because you got to think about it. You can have a scripted mindset on what you believe based off of what you just chose to believe, and you can articulate those well after you repeat it so much to an audience. But actually having to answer questions that force you to substantiate your position on it and try to make sense of it is very difficult whenever it's not authentic.
I personally think that I think he may have grew up with no father. I think he saw his mama get be ignored or go through the whole single parent, process, or him growing up with his daddy not being there, or probably beating him or not engaging with him, whatever the case may be, because there's that logic doesn't make sense for a man to have if your father is there, if you have a male role model there, because at the end of the day, even if you were to put women on a higher pedestal, right, arguably you could say that man and woman is still one. You know what I'm saying? I could see if he was making that argument of where he said, okay, well, yeah, men aren't over women, but men and woman is one. But to say woman is, you know what I'm saying, more powerful or the God or whatnot, then it's like, bro, where's your daddy at? You know what I'm saying? Like he couldn't have been there. He couldn't have real male role models there. It even looked like
I don't think he knew. I don't think his father claimed him, or he might have been one of those kids that she didn't know who the dad was because I mean, think about it. You see your son say something like that. I mean, that'll make you pull your teeth out.
Always there, and the person that's always there should be the person that has the most influence on you.
Would it be better if he said man was God?
Nope.
Would it be different?
I don't think that it'll be different. I think that it would still be him pandering to a group. But again, like I said, I think if that level of messaging has to come from somewhere where it was influenced, even for him to do the research that he did behind it. Some of the stuff I do agree with, and I do understand where he's coming from with women holding a certain amount of power throughout history and in the different cultures and religions and things of that nature. That's why women and children are supposed to be protected, you know what I'm saying, to whatever extent it is within that culture and religion. But it's him taking it to the extreme, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's the dangerous part, that he's taking it to the extreme of literally removing men from the picture.
Yeah, I don't know about y'all fellas, but I felt really fucking offended and triggered for the first time in a long time. Like, how many of y'all reached down and felt that line like there when he said that we had vaginas that was just so I had that feeling. I'm like, fuck, man.
I kind of knew I had a line already,
true,
but
bro. Like,
hey, Darryl, hey, don't tell me you whipping your shit out, man, while we on this panel.
Nah, I mean, I just reached down in there to touch it and see, like, I don't know if that could have been a vagina, bro. So, like, told me I had a pussy that was sold up. Like, that's a shot.
You didn't know that though?
That I was going to say that part was kind of true.
That part. That's what I'm
biology.
saying. Some of the stuff that he's saying is true. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, come on, man.
That's the best way to kick a lie, though, is to throw some truths in there.
Exactly.
That's the best way to kick a lie. Scientific facts. That's how you really run that manipulation.
That's how you hook them.
I swear, because nobody talked about that line ever until I heard it today.
I didn't heard about that either. I'm just sitting there like,
hey, my man's was probably in the mirror like, I got a line all the way. I got a sold up pussy.
All I'm gonna say is that it's so much of a fucking lie, because if it was, let's say it was a sold up pussy, bro, it would be so much easier to be a transgender without all this fucking struggling and difficulty. You can just go and sew your shit and just go head on. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
The operation kind of goes like that, but I'm gonna leave that for another day. So I'll make the point. Listen, it's all about pushing the narrative, and pause. Like it's a narrative. That's all it is. You can take any information that's factual and then just spit something completely different. I mean, you see people do it with. I've seen a lot of sermons happen that way. I've seen somebody read from the same verse and come up with two completely different concepts. I'm like, damn, how you pull that from there? Yeah. So there's an art to manipulating, right? You take these truths and then you just explain it a little bit differently. Once you get a different interpretation of that meaning, then it is what it is. They're gonna run with it.
That's how Gino got that platform. He got the pastor. I forgot his last name. Gino something.
What I don't know. What was kind of crazy to me was the father talk about that, like being a social construct, right? And then bringing nature in and saying that, women reflects in nature. The father is just a social construct. When you look at nature, nature has a natural duality to it, period. So that was the part that I didn't understand. So is it expression of, so you have male, you have female, right? You have like air, you have land, you have water, you have fire. Like there's a natural, just in nature, there's a duality to everything. So the fact that if he says that a father is a social construct, then by the nature of the law of nature, then that means mother has to be a social construct as well, unless he's saying that mother don't exist either. And so that part was just very, very confusing to me in regards to that. Now, if he had said that maybe social the roles of a father might be a social construct, or masculinity of a father might be a social construct, because those things are different depending on what country you live in, what culture you're in. Those things change. But the essence of what a father is not a social construct, because you can go into any culture and they will understand that concept. The other thing was what he was trying to say something about understanding or knowledge or what have you. I didn't really get what he was saying, but there is a difference between knowledge and understanding, which somebody had said this quote to me, and I never forget. I was like, oh, this is great. But it was saying that understanding is much deeper than knowledge. There are many who know, but fewer who understand. And I think that was what Trev was talking about in terms of manipulation. So you may know something on the surface level, but very few people go deeper to really truly have that understanding, because the understanding becomes the application of what you know. And a lot of times we don't get to the point where we're actually applying the knowledge that we've heard. We just hear it and we regurgitate it, but not really necessarily understand it.
Is there any biology majors on here? Because I want to know, like, just to try to understand, dude, man, to give them a shot. Did we come in as X and X starting off, and then kind of lose one of the legs to come a Y or some shit?
According to him, he said that we just don't want.
That's kind of how it works loosely.
I was gonna say, what happens is already determined. Like what sex you're gonna be, like when the host was talking about the XY chromosome or what have you. So if that XY sperm, hits the egg, the embryo is already determined at conception. What happens is, as the development, I think it's called gestation. I remember this from biology, that in gestation, at that point when the embryo is developing, I think it's like maybe, I don't know, the 8th week, 7th week or something like that, when certain like hormones start kicking in. And then after the hormones start kicking in, then that's when the change of the sex of the baby begin to develop. And that's when your, gonads begin to like drop. And then, or if you're going to be a female, that then your ovaries begin to develop. But prior to that, everything is exactly is the same.
I think it's crazy that we have hermaphrodites. You have both. Like, to me, that's just like,
yeah. And a woman is born with all of the eggs that she will ever have in her entire life. We lose eggs, and a man will continue to develop and gain sperm throughout his life. So it's completely opposite.
What's even crazier?
I'm glad you said that.
You were already in your grandmother. Yeah. So weird. Like I saw that, like I was like, oh shoot, I never thought of it like that. Like we're literally 3 generations out, because your grandmother already have the eggs that she's ever gonna produce. And then when she has a mother, she already has
eggs. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that furthermore strengthens the argument why women are not supposed to be monogamous and man can. I mean, whatever the hell I just said, right, the opposite way.
What? Women are supposed to be monogamous.
Yeah, you gotta fix that one, bro.
Hey,
I saw the pull up.
That ain't gonna age well.
Yeah, I saw the pull up, but the follow through ain't hit all the way.
Yeah, somebody gonna clip you on that one, bro.
Probably. I can see Kenny right now on King Talk. I'm not gonna let you get away from what you said Thursday.
Somebody go clip it and send it to him.